Today's daf is daf nun vav, and we are going through the Mishnah that tabulated a number of averas that you receive skila. So now the Gemara is going through each one, and we went through a number of details in the previous Gemara, and now we're moving on. We're up to the Mishnah, actually, at nun hey on the base on the bottom of the page. Hamagadif, a blasphemer. Einu chayv. These are the specific laws of a blasphemer. You're not chayv, not that you're allowed to do it any other way, but you don't get skila unless you do it in the follow prescription. Einu chayv ache yifadesh Hashem. First of all, you have to utter Hashem's name. You have to say Hashem's name and enunciate Hashem's name. Amar Rabbi Shua ben Karcha. When the witnesses come along and they testify, they don't have to repeat exactly what he said. They use like a nickname. They use or they talk about a third party. So, for example, they use as a euphemism to say Yaka Yosi as Yosi. In other words, in order to be considered, you have to say Yosi, which is representative of Hashem's name, is Shekurs Yosi. That's the only way that you're chayiv skila. That Yosi should curse out Yosi. Now, why in the world do we pick out the name Yosi? Interesting, many times in the Gemara, when we want to bring an example, we say Yosef and Shimon, two people living in the same city, they have the same name. What's the example? Yosef and Shimon. It seems there's an attraction to Yosef and Yosi. Rashi says very interesting. Why they choose the name Yosi? Because Yosi is because it says it has 4 letters. Yosi has 4 letters. Then Rashi says, interesting, you don't find this often in Rashi, that Yosi is Gematria 86. Yud Vav Yud is 26 and Samach is 86, which is the same as Elokim. But it is a bit odd because Elokim, you're not over. You have to say the Shem of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Now there's a big machlek in the Shenim. The Rambam holds it's either Yud Kei Vav Kei or Aleph Daled Nun. We don't pronounce Yud Kei Vav Kei the correct way. We pronounce Yud Kei Vav Kei as if it's Aleph Daled Nun, Yud. And at Daf Samach we say clearly it has to be 4 letters. Other Rishonim say, one of the Rishonim said that Yosi is Yud Vav Yud is Gematria 26 Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei, and Samach is Simon. This is the Simon that's going to represent that. Anyway, the Rambam holds it could either be Yud Kei Vav Kei or Aleph Daled Nun Yud. That's what the Rambam holds. Other Rishonim hold only Yud Kei Vav Kei, nothing else. That's one machlekes. Another machlekes, the Rambam holds the name that you're using. You're saying Hashem should, Yosi should curse Yosi. It's the receiving end Yosi that has to be the Shem Daled Yosis, but the giving end can be any of the Zayin Shem Hashem and Mechakim. That's what the Rambam shit is. And other Rishonim hold no. Both names, the first name and the second name has to be the Shem Daled Yosis. The Shem HaMefeidish and the Shem HaMeyuchad. The Rambam keeps on using the word Shem HaMeyuchad. Shem HaMefeidish is Yud Kei Vav Kei. Shem HaMeyuchad, the designated name is Aleph Daled Nun Yud. The other 5 names are called Shemas She'enim Nechakim, names that cannot be erased. You're not allowed to erase them. So the Rambam holds it's Shem HaMeyuchad. Other Shem holds it has to be Shem HaMefeidish. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, it's still Aveda as horror. You don't get skila. We'll see in the Gemara later in a few days from now what happens. Yeah, other languages. Then Gemara continues. But once the business is ready to give the sentence, they cannot just use this euphemism. Might seem called Adam Lechutz. They have to hear the real thing. Otherwise, how can they get punished? So they send everybody out of the courtroom. They ask the older one between them. Tell us clearly what you heard. And he says it. So that from our Pashto Pshat in the Mishnah, it sounds like they repeat exactly what they heard. The Rishalmi says, no, you can't do that again. So the Yonim stand on their feet. The Koyin, they rip their clothes, and they don't sew them back. Whether our Gemara agrees with the Rishalmi that they wouldn't actually say exactly what the person said, or we take a little bit of Samach. No, but once Bezin tears Kri, we're talking about a Megadif now. So they say Yak is Yosi, it's Yosi, explain all the different opinions on that. And then now they send everybody out and they repeat to Bezin exactly what they heard. And Bezin then tears Kri because they just heard a terrible thing. We don't ask the second witness to repeat the whole thing again. He just says, Afani Kamayu. It's good enough for me. It's good enough for me as well. Says the Gemara Tani, we learned actually about Hashem Hashem. And I mean, how do you know that's the procedure? Says the Gemara Makro. It says in Pasuk, V'noikiv Shem. It says in Pasuk, V'noikiv Shem Hashem Ma'is Yumas. Now we're saying that Noikiv means a blasphemer, a curse. What do you call it? And V'noikiv Shem Hashem is Ma'is Yumas. V'noikiv Shem Yumas. And then it says Benok v'Shem Yumas. So therefore it says what? So it's like Benoikiv Shem, and the end of the pasuk is Benok v'Shem. So there's a shame b'Shem. You have to say Yosi should curse Yosi. When asked, who told you Noikiv means b'chal cursing? All it says Benoikiv. You know what else? Noikiv can mean a few types. For example, you think it's curse of see more ekav lekabakel. Bilam said, "What do you want? I can't." The Abishah didn't curse. We define as hara melakim leisakalu. Right, you know, I'll curse Hashem. The aim of mivruzu noikiv goes mean pierce. The chsiv it says in the pasuk that vayikav chor bedalta, he bored a hole in the door, and means you're not allowed to, let's say, you're not allowed to make a hole in Hashem's name that's written on a piece of paper. That's what it means. We don't do with cursing. And where do you find this in the Easter that you're not allowed to throw Hashem's name, you're not allowed to race. And you know, there's the famous problem. Every time you write Hashem's name, I think we mentioned this once before. Every time you write Hashem's name, you're erasing Hashem's name. When you write Yud K, that's already one of the 7 names. And then when you write a Vav after that, you just erase Hashem's name, and then you write a K afterwards. So how does that work? So it says in one of the Mefarshim, can't remember who it is, that when the Gemara said in Yuma that the family of Ben Kamtsar is cursed by the Chachamim because they knew how to write with 4 pens between their fingers, and they refused to share it with us. And the Chachamim used the most strongest language against them, and you wonder what's the big deal. So the Taz, they want to learn. The Taz learns. They knew the printing press, which the Taz holds as a printing press in times of Mishkan, famous Taz. But they learn that the pshat is because in the base of Mikdash you use the Shem HaMefedish. If you write with 4 at the same time, you'll avoid being Meicha Hashem name every time. You're not being Meichik his name, because Yud Kei Vav Kei can write all at the same time. So there's no you haven't completed, you haven't written and erased and written. That's why the Chazal were very upset with this particular family. Anyway, but as Mother Saskia, you shouldn't do the same with David. Be'in and shame, v'leka. So we say, answer, you know why it can't be that? Because it says we need in the puzzle of a shame. It says shame. How do you do if it's just making a hole? How do you do a name and a name? So you put 2 pieces, the 2 layers of Hashem's name, and you take a knife and you go right through it. And you in Basel, you went right through it. That's the Aveda. So it can't be because it's not a double thing. It's one Aveda doing it twice. But Noikiv Shem B'Shem is one Aveda. Maybe you put the Abish's name on the tip of this knife, the dagger, let's say, and the Sakinu Bazava, and then so it's Shem B'Shem. Right? The knife with Abish's name is tearing through. So it's not the Abish's name on the tip of the knife that's doing the ripping, it's the sharpness of the knife. Ema Purusha Shmeyu. Maybe the Noikiv Shem means you're not allowed to spell out Hashem's name. It's called the Hoyger Be'Yosei. You're not allowed to spell out Hashem's name. We see that the word Noikiv can mean enunciating. That's what you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to say Yud, we say K. You're not allowed to spell it out exactly the way it is. That's how it is from here. That means according to the Rambam, you're not allowed to say Aleph Daled Nun as well. Because the Rambam holds that we're not talking about Yud Kei Vav Kei only, we're talking about Shem HaMiyuchad Aleph Dal Nun, and the Gemara has a half a minute, you're not allowed to spell it out. Interesting. And maybe where do you find that you're not allowed to spell out the name? It says you should fear Hashem's name. So and Gemara for 2 answers. First of all, again, you need a name and a name. We don't have one. A warning has to be written in the license. It is a pellet because if you're the Gemara Bracha says we actually learn out from Hashem that you're not allowed to say Hashem's name in Bracha. Not like the Rambam holds Hashem Lechatila. So why does the Gemara just say that pasuk? Hashem Lechatila and the learn by Shemayim Batala, and we're learning more Shavuos, and the same thing. You're not allowed to enunciate the letters, and then you'll have a license. Okay, still the first question still remains, but the second question doesn't remain. So no. Anybody have another answer? It says in Pasuk, it says Vayikov Vayikalo. So it's clearly that Vayikov is not enunciating the name, it's to do with Klala. Remember the name of Klala? So you want to say remember, tell you the negel klala. Negel means klala. So you want to know what it means if it's piercing or hugging. I said no. It means cursing. Maybe no. Maybe negel means enunciating the name, but you're not over until you did vayiv and vayikal. You have to enunciate the Abish's name, and then you're also cursing somebody the Abish's name. That's when you chayiv skilla. So you says that you can't think that. See, it says hoitze esa makal. What did he get punished for? Only for being makal. Doesn't say he got punished for the two things together. But like, see, he says, take out this person who committed these two Avedas. All one. We learned. Now, what we are going to learn over the next few blots are the Zayim Mitzvah B'nai Noach. What exactly they are, as we'll see, there's a big machlekes. Some say it's up to 30. We learned. It says this is what you say to Eden. First of all, it says Ish. It says in the pasuk Ish. If he kala lakov nasavin. If Idachman Islam is a blasphemer, the nasa avoin should carry his sin. Yeah, and Pasha's ever there makes story in the Megadif. Says the Gemara, Ish. Why do you say double Ish? Matam says Ameir's view. Matam Ish. The rabbi says over Gechomish was hard and Abichas himself. The second Ish is to include a guy also from his eye mitzvahs is to be a blasphemer. But the ein and eragim, but there's a difference between going to eat the punishment. They get punished with a saif. Call me somebody been noichel b'saif. Bayid you get skilla, but they have one uniform punishment for any aved of theirs, and that is saif chedef. So you're telling me we learned the Isra of Megadav by a goy from Ish. Mahasam nafka, we learn out the same place you learn at all the other mitzvahs b'nei. And what is that? It says in the pasuk, we'll soon see that we take it as pasuk with Shabbat Hashem Lakim, right in the beginning of Bereshit. So they should tell the other Bereshit. From there we learn out all Zayin mitzvahs b'nei. And from one of those words there, we'll see a machlekes which word it is, from either by Tzav or from Hashem. We learn out that the Isra of Megadav and Zayin mitzvahs b'nei is for goyim. So what do you tell me, Ish? Hashem, Zubichas Hashem. Then possibly right, Sav Hashem, according to one opinion, means that's Megadif. Oh, but no. We learn that more dinin for as far as a guy to illuminate the Isra of Megadif that we learned by automation. We add another layer to that in this pasuk Ishish. It's to be marble that what according to that Meya, you don't need dafka the shem daldoisius. Any of Hashem's name, you're Mekal. And that's what we need as possible. The liba that someone answers that this brayta learns ish is to teach you more, to expand the Isra Megadif to include not only the name of Hashem, but also all the other names of Hashem as well. And this follows the view of Rameir. What's the story of Rameir? Time we learn. Ish, ki yikalo matam it says when it's very nothing. You're not allowed to be a blasphemer. The fish and them have a noikiv shame moisyumis. Since they have a noikiv shame. Shame sounds like the name Yachol Yechayv Hashem. I'm yuchad about only Shem yuchad. See, the Gemara doesn't say Hashem of Faydish Shem yuchad, and that's why the Rambam learns it's not just Yukev Avke, but also includes Alav Dalet. Not like Rashi and other Shem. Minayin the rabbis kol hakinuyin. So Rameh goes now a step further. What about the other five Shem Hashem Chokin Tam Eloimer? Ish ki yikal elokov mikol makom. It says Ish. It says by in the pasuk it says Ish ki yikal elokov. So this comes to a teacher guy as well. Yechai more than just what we know from Vayitzav Hashem. Vayitzav Hashem we would have thought you only chai for the name of Dalesius. Tells Ish that Yechai also more than that. So that's why you need that puzzle. The Chachamim al Shem Am Yuchad b'Misav al Kanuim Bazar. Of course, you're not allowed to use any of the Kanuim, but for them, it's that is only a lav. Misa is only on Shem of Daldaisius. Upliga. This argues that a Maisha. A Yiddish version of Maisha. In other words, you understood that the Rabban holy only allowed for all the other names, right? And Meir holds Yechayv Kanuyin, and the Rabban holds Yechayv Kanuyin. In other words, and you're saying that a guy is that's in other words, you said only according to the Meir Only according to the Meir, you chayiv for all the other names. But shaygin according to Chachamim, since a yid is not chayiv only for shem daldoisis, a goy also is only chayiv for shem daldoisis. And this argument, Maisha, who says you're right, for a yid, the Chacham hold you only chayiv for daldoisis, but a goy, he's chayiv on all kinuyin as well. Even the Rabbanon chayiv. No, the Rabbanon argue when it comes to Yisrael, but when it comes to Ben Noyach, Rabbanon on Ben Noyach is stricter than by Yid. By a Ben Noyach, they will get killed for Shar kinuyin as well. My time, but why? Because Makro in the very pasuk where it teaches the din of Anoik Shem Hashem, Moishumas, it finishes off. It says Kager Kaga Ezrach. Every din, a gate and Yisrael have the same din. Why suddenly you highlight here a gate? But it's not who is chayiv is to exclude others. Who are you excluding? A goy. Yeah, that a goy is different because a goy is chayiv even by kinuyin. The din is different. That's what Amaisha says. It teaches that a goy is different. In what way? A goy l'chumbra that is chayiv even for other names. When you say, because the pasuk says the noik of shame, when do you need only? When do we say it's limited to shame? Even other names. But a mayor holds that there's no chiluk eating a guy. Everyone is chayiv or kinuyin. What do you have to tell me again to exclude the guy? What are you excluding from? The punishment is different. I would have thought that since once you're learning a goy from a yid, I would have thought in every respect, including the punishment. Not so. But hold that a goy is that what do you call it? He holds that a goy and a yid are exactly the same, and a yid is not chayiv, and a goy is not chayiv. According to Rabbi so mom is exactly the same thing. What do you need it for? What's the issue? You have Ezra being a shame b'shame, being a shame b'shame. When do you need this? No, by goy, even just cursing. Being a blasphemer on Hashem's name is enough. You don't need this particular deal of shame, b'shame. Right? Remember, the pasuk starts off a noik of shame and ends with a noik of shame. He said, "Yaka yosi is yosi." That you need, yosi should curse yosi. That's a prerequisite by a yid. By goy, just saying that that yosi should be cursed out is enough to be over. True. And we'll see later in the Gemara. We'll go. The next few days, we're getting into that. Ish lamali. So it's going to ask a question. I don't care if we follow Maishi, according to Rabbanim. We learn out from Vaisav Hashem Elakim, like Goyim, and you know the same thing. So what do ish to add what? And Gemara says, you're right, nothing. Which we resort to whenever we don't have a drasha, we say the Tater sometimes speaks like people. Probably learned. Now we're going to start the sugya of Zayim mitzvah. We know some mitzvahs they're going. They were told dinin, which means like stealing and all that. Dinin is civil laws. Well, big machlekes the Rambam and Ramban. What's the news? The Rambam writes in means courts. You have to have courts and judges. The Ramban in Parshas Vayishlach learns that dinin means all the laws of civil laws. Not Gzela, because that's a separate thing, but all the other laws of civil Hazekah, everything, all the laws that we have in the Zikr. So we have his mitzvahs, Dinin, and tomorrow we'll go through each one. How do we know them? Dinin, Birchas Hashem, Avodah Zorah, Gilu Arayis, and we know they had these things because Noach was punished for Gilu Arayis, the Mabul, Shvichas Damim, and Gilu Arayis. We said they have everything like Eden, except the law of Naida Hamodos. They don't have the Indian remember because by a goy they're not married until his Bula's ball, until his Bia. So prior to that, we don't recognize anything happened there. So there's no Easter of Naida Hamodos. And Gezel and Eva Menachai. Interesting that Eva Menachai should be like from the ones that everyone has to keep. He says number 8. He says also Dam. You know, the Rambam is very controversial. The Rambam learns that 6 mitzvahs were given to Adam, even though the pasuk says, like we learn from all 7 are from that pasuk, but 6 were Adam, and the 7th one was given to Neach. And then the Rambam says, and Avram added the mitzvah, and Yitzchak added the mitzvah, and all that. And everyone wants to know where the Rambam gets it from. Pashas, if you learn from this passage by Itzav, they're all given to Adam Rishon. That not only a limb from a living animal, also from the blood of a living animal. It says also on castration or sterilizing. And Rav Shimon says also on kishuv, witchcraft. Rabbi Yosi says everything that says in Parshas Kishuv is also included. All of these things. He said you shouldn't have a be'esh, which we'll see later is called the moilach, passing your child through the fire, between the fires. We'll learn more about it more later. All the different kind of witchcraft, which we'll learn in detail later, so we'll worry about it later. And ma'oinen, which is machlek, just showing you what that exactly is. If you set times, or it's a kind of witchcraft. And menachesh, saying that if this thing happens, these are like signs. Umechashev and a witch, which some say means to gather animals together. All of these things. Like a necromancer and all that. But necromancer. We'll see later what that is. You put a bone in your mouth. David should chase them away before these behavior. So you shouldn't have them. It must be that it was forbidden to the goyim in the first place. Otherwise, it says I threw them out because this is a behavior, which means that it's also for them. So it must be that this possible whatever it is, we'll see, teaches you all of these are for goyim.
These people say there's more than Sheva mitzvahs.
We'll see more.
These included the others.
We'll see more. Some say right now it could be 10 more. But we'll see more soon. That's like they substitute. Some takes them out and put others in. Allah says af ala climb. Now, what do we climb? We taught him and I know which climb a lot of wear shatna is interesting. The astronauts, the first time they went up in the Apollo, when they had to make their clothes. They for whatever reason they worked out that you cannot have Klein wool and linen, so they made sure that whatever it is would have to be one kind of material. What exactly it was, I don't remember. There are a lot of plant climb. They ain't as soon, but what can't they do is harbor they cannot go ahead and what do you call it? And make a hybrid or like a mule. You cannot bring two animals together or two trees together. No, how do go through all this? How do you know all this? So we can ask as follows: these are dinim. It's courts or civil law. How do I know that? It's a pasuk. I know that he is going to instruct his kids. And it says there to make what you do, lasit tzedakah mishpat. So we know that by Yitzav it's to do with mishpat. Okay, the Mefarshim already asked. I'm not sure why they even ask. They ask if we learn that pasuk tzedakah mishpat, why do you say they're going to have mitzvah tzedakah as well? And we learned about Basad of Yud the Chesed Lumim Chatas for Pagan Tanya. If we're learning from this pasuk by Yitzav, because it says from this very pasuk it says that tzedakah mishpat. So just like you're learning mishpat from there, learn that they have a mitzvah of tzedakah. They all ask that, and I don't understand. I don't understand the question because remember the Bava Beis, the Gemara learns clearly that tzedakah there means tzedakah of mishpat. That you have a mishpat either means you should have a pshara. It's a mitzvah when you do. Still talking about mishpat. It's not tzedakah like we normally type tzedakah. Within mishpat, do tzedakah, or they should come out. Whoever won a loss, everyone should be happy. So not do tzedakah. Then continue weiter. It says Hashem, that's Bechel Hashem. The next word is blasphemy. It says the pasuk Hashem Hashem Moishumas. Elokim, that's Avodah Zarah. The It says shouldn't have other gods. Allah Adam Zushvichas Damim. I'll kill somebody. We'll go through each word in that pasuk. Like when you murder somebody. How do I know Lema means Gila Royas? Because it says a pasuk that the Yirmiyah said to Eden, people will say, "Hey, the will go away. The wife will go away from them. This is what's going to happen." So see the word "lema." Mikol eitzagan from these trees because I'm giving you permission to get there, but v'loy gazan, not where you have no permission. Achol teichel, eat that. V'loy evim nechai, not everything you can eat. This you can eat. What can't you eat? Evim nechai. He says, "Vayitzav is avodah zarah, and elikim is dinin." So how does he learn that? Remember, we learned the whole din of three judges. It says Alakim referring to a judge. Okay. My mashma, where did you learn that from? One of them says, it says in Pasuk, I want your sorrow by the eagle. Leave quickly from them, that they'll deviate from Hashem's people. I told them. That's the eagle. And the other one says, Ashuk Ephraim Rotzes Mishpat, that they should crush them and destroy them. Ki hoyel holach acher tzad. Why? Because they went after the commandments, the other things. Nobody's reprimanded for Avodah Zarah. And there it says tzad. My benayu, what's the chilik which pasuk went from? Benayu akum she'osa Avodah Zarah v'lo yishtachla. What about if a goy makes an Avodah Zarah, doesn't bow down? By Yid, you're not chayiv, because we're always assuming he'll never end up doing it. But a goy, is he chayiv or not? L'ma'ad amar osu is mashasasiyah. It says that by the egel osu only when they made, as soon as they made it, they're already over. They actually went to it. It's more than just they made it. They had to go to it. When you're over the Zara, only if you worship it. Omar Rabba says, Rabba Mikkel, Mandamar Akum Shaz Vazar Ishtach L'Chayiv. Whichever. Is there any opinion that says if a going made on Zara, he's already chayiv? But Tad, we learned Ba'akum Dvorim Shebezn Sheisol Mamisna Lane. Whatever a Jewish court will kill the Yid for is Benoit Musar Alain. Benoit can't do them either. Ain Bezn Sheisol Mamisna Lane. If a Bezn Bayid will not kill you for this particular activity of Avodah Zarah, Ain Benoach Musar Alain. Then a guy neither the guy liable. Limuti Mai, what are we talking about? Lav Limuti Akajos Avodah Zarah. Since a Yid making Avodah Zarah is not liable, then the same thing by a guy. They're not liable. What do you tell me according to one opinion he is? The didn't bow down to it. Oh, the Papa like, no, who says that's what is coming to exclude? Maybe if a guy built an Avodah Zarah because it says Holach build Avodah Zarah Osu, they're already chai, like by the eagle. But what is it coming to exclude here that the Yid is part of so too? Lemute gifu v'nishur. You're running around embracing the Avodah Zarah, you're not chai. Oh, but you might give you initially the mind. What are we talking about? Ilema kedarka, that's the normal way. There's four different avodas which are the main one. Gifu finish embracing is not for the four. So we had shechting and incense and all that. Yeah. So the ilema kedarka, that's the particular activity that always on the back. They will get killed. If it's not the normal way, then just a Yid won't get killed, neither will go. But when it comes to building an Avodah Zarah, according to that one opinion, it says also they made, they're already chayv. Dini, if you telling me that Ben Noach was told about Dini, but time we learned 10 mitzvahs the Eden were given in Morah, 10. Sheva shekibla alein Ben Noach, 7 of Ben Noach. V'haisif alein Dinin. Why do you tell me that Dinin is part of the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach? You said that about that Lakim is Dinin when it says when it says clearly that was added on in Morah by the Bnei Yisrael. The Shabbos. Now, interesting. Why does Zayin mitzvah have to be repeated again? We'll learn Gemara later. Any mitzvah which is written in the Torah and not repeated again is Yisrael Nemra B'Loyle B'nei Noach. The only way he's given over to B'nei Noach as well is it had to be repeated again. So that's why he's repeated in Morah. What was added on? Shabbos. It's a Dinin, Shabbos, and Kibbutz V'Aim. How do we know that? Dinin, the Chesiv, it says, after this is we had the last week's Parsha when there was no water there. It says there in Morah, Sham, Sam, Loy, Chayka, Mishpat. He gave them Chayka, Mishpat. Mishpat, clear. He gave them Dinin. Shabbos, the Kibbutz of him. How do I know that? The Chesiv, it says in the Pasuk, it says in the second Luchas, by what came to Shabbos, Kibbutz Aim, he says, like Hashem told you. So when did he tell them? This is Matan Torah. Told you in Morah. But when Yehuda catches him in Morah. So L'chayda Dinin was not there yet at the time. Says the Gemara. Another layer of Dinin was given there. That what? That by us we need warnings. By going we don't. We need a bezna of 23. By going we don't. And you need 2 witnesses. By going you don't. The words it sound like the Dinin itself. You tell me an aspect of Dinin. They gave them a new layer, the idea of penalties. Then we just said, no, we already had Dinin, we added a bit more. This new layer that it's not enough to have one Supreme Court somewhere. Every city, every region has have a Bezdin. I have to have a resin. Are you telling me that what? So this was given to the Yidden in the Mara. Well, Goyim don't have to have a bezin everywhere. But Tanya, Geshen is Tavi Sol Hoshi Batim Chapel Bel Kachas Amin Hoshi Batim Chali Goyim have the same thing. So what do you mean it was given to the Yidden in the Mara? The Goyim already had that already before, part of the Dinin. So what was added on in Mara? El Marava Haitana Tana de Menashehu. This Tana who said this thing about Mara does not agree that was given as Zayin Mitzvah Nenayach. He takes two dinim out of the Zayin Mitzvahs and puts two others in his place. The Mapik, he takes out Dal and Chaf. He takes out the Ayul Sach. What do you call it? He takes out the dinin and he takes out the Chaf. What's the Chaf again? I forgot already. He takes out what do you take out? We'll see in 1 minute. Sorry? Take out Bichel Hashem. Ayul, and he puts in Sach. What's Sach? Sirus. Avodah Zarah, Gila Roya, Shvichas Damim, Gezel, Even Achai, Sidus, and climb. Help us climb. He takes out two others and still Zayin Mitzvah in there. Interesting. Rashi and Chumash on that pasuk of Sham Sam Lechoike Mishpat. Rashi says, we just remember last week, he gave him mitzvahs, and Rashi puts in Torah Duma. Where did you get that from? The Gemara clearly says there were three others, Dinin and Kibbut of the Aim. And Rashi says paradum. Yeah, but the Gemara says clearly it was I'm saying right here. Look what right there. So she they took out the still Zayin mitzvah there they took out. If you name it, he said no. Adam only had one mitzvah. Remember it says by Tzava Shem Elokim Ala Adam. Only one mitzvah he had. Later on was added other mitzvahs. Rabbi Yehuda said, "Af al birchas Hashem." He was also told birchas Hashem because if a shav Hashem Elokim al Adam, both had to do with Eibishter. Hashem af al hadinim, and some say also dinim because Elokim is dinim. Elokim ani, I am the Eibishter. Lo yisik kalaluni, you shouldn't blaspheme against Hashem. Elokim ani, lo yitameruni, you shouldn't exchange me for another god knows avodah zarah. Elakim ani hey maroya aleichem. You should be scared of me. Come on, ki yesh oimrim. Follow yesh oimrim. Yeah. So what are we learning? Three dinim from Adam Rishon. What did he have? The three dinim. He had avodah zarah. He had what do you call it? He had avodah zarah. He had birchas Hashem avodah zarah. And how does dinim come in there? So no, he's saying here that be scared of me. In other words, you should listen to my dinim and not be scared of other people and do what they tell you to do. But Rashi says it's to do with the dayanim. Don't be lesugurim nayish, fear Hashem. Don't be intimidated by people. Ki Hashem that includes all that. Says what right. One word. Okay, yeah, exactly. If we dash in the possibly right side, that will have them. They're all seven. And he like Dodi right side, I know all of them. Says the Gemara. No, if you dash in right side, what do you mean you took out Dinin, you took out Birchas Hashem, you put in Sidus and climb? We said before that he learns only. Here we have, some Shvatim only have like one Tana or a Moida have their name, Menashe. This is like the Menashe that we have. We had an Ephraim, Talmud of Meir. Very few Tanoim had this name. Anyway, he's saying here, what do you mean you took out those two, and you took out, Birchas Hashem and Dinin, you put in place Sidus and Climb. If you live in the Pasuk Vayitzav, you learn all of them. So the Gemara follows. He doesn't. He doesn't live by tzad. He holds each one has a separate pasuk. Avodah zarah it says by the Mabul. Why did he destroy the world? The world was corrupt. The Torah Bishmol come up to us. Whenever it says the expression of corrupt, it's talking about promiscuity, and avodah zarah. By Erba, how do we know? It says by Erba, it says Kishach is called Basar, that it's darker a lot. It says Kishach is called Basar, is darker, that means in their behavior, which is immorality. And Avodah Chavim, it says Pen Tashchisun, Va'asisem Mechul. Right? Maybe you'll destroy and you'll make yourself an Avodah Zorah. That's Avodah Zorah. The Idach and those who don't learn from the Sukkah, learn from Eitzav, they say, they're coming out, just telling you what they did wrong. Not teaching you the halachas of it. He's just telling you why the Mabul came upon, because they didn't follow the earlier halacha that tells them not to behave in this way. And what is that? Shvichus damim, where does he learn murder? The Sibit says, it says if you murder somebody, then they know a person creating Hashem's image, you know how to. That's where you learn from. The Idach Ketalayu, the Megali, just telling you what it means killing. Not that this is the halacha. Gezel stealing. If you're going to no, he's telling you what the punishment is. Ketalayu, the person who does murder, what do we do with it? What misa? So the Pasuk says, now when he gets decapitated, he gets not skila and not chenek. So we needed to teach you the method of the punishment, not the halacha, according to us who learn from Eitzav Hashem Elokim. Next, Gezel, the Chsiv is in Pasuk, Kiyerek Esav L'Sati L'Chem Eskol. I'm giving to you like what? Like Yerek Esav. That means it's hefker. That's why you can take it. Otherwise, you cannot eat it because it's Zela. Or believe it, Kiyerek Esav like Kiyerek Giner. Giner is like a private thing. Yerek Esav is like it grows on its own, wild. That's where you can have it. Vidach, we who learn from Vayitzav, what do we do that pasuk? Ahul Mishnah Bosser does. We'll learn later in the Gemara that other Rishon was not allowed to eat meat. Only Noach was permitted to eat meat, and that's what it's all about. The Ramban writes of Chumash, they were all vegans, and that's why they lived a very long life. The moment we started eating meat, the Ramban writes of Chumash, the years are cut down from 1,000 years, 900 plus years, to down to 100 plus years. Yes. Sorry.
See the vegans today.
Maybe they don't follow the
vegan. The original bird rights are just like aggressive tendencies come from eating vegetables.
Okay, see how you look at it. Okay, 2 more lines. It says basa benafshe damlu sechelu, right? It says that you shouldn't eat a basa while the nefesh is still there. So it's asa. The idach ahul lemishre shratzim ud asa. It's coming to tell you that Adam is not allowed to eat meat, right? But only that's coming to tell you that by shrotzim there's no evim and a chai. And why is there evim and a chai by shrotzim? We'll see later in the Gemara. It depends if the skin and the flesh and the blood are different, or it's all one. The skin is the flesh, as we'll see later on. So there's no evim and a chai by shrotzim. One more line there. One more thing. Sidus, right? Sterilization. The Sidus says. It says a pasuk that you should be pruvu v'shirtzu ba'aretz. So therefore, we know that it is also you have a mitzvah, the guy a mitzvah to multiply. There's no Isser for sterilization by a guy. They don't have mitzvah puravu. It's only a bracha. Taisus in Chagiga Zav Beis Amar Aleph learns that goyim don't have the mitzvah puravu, but they have the mitzvah loylu toyu bro el sheves itzara. Sorry, the Beis on Beis. Taisus says there. Shuri Evan, long Shuri Evan. Taisus mechaz that a guy does have a mitzvah of loylu toyu bro. The world was created to inhabit and settle. But not in this thing here. It says everything should be their own. And remember, we said that climb is limited only to crossbreeding species of animals and trees. That's only telling you that that's how they mate. It's a mitzvah.